So here we are. So from this small corner, if you're making an extension, something like this might be okay. Because the corner is not very strong yet. But the stronger you become, the more stones you have invested in something, the more brave you should be. And you know, when even from this corner, even this extension might be okay, or this one, it's fine. But imagine now that you have that wall, like after this whole sequence, having captured two stones, the wall is like it's a fortress right now. And with all these exchanges, this almost a perfect wall. And now from this wall, consider making the same extension. This one. Now this
Yeah,
one really looks small, right? It really looks uninteresting. This
yeah.
one's obviously bad. Nobody would make that. But then where is that moment where this move is bad, but how about this one? Is it also bad? Also too close? Probably.
That's too.
Probably too
Yeah.
close. Yeah. So that's that. It's a feeling. So it's not something that is you can measure in Go. It's a difficult thing to say. It's like the difference between like when does one grain of sand, but when you put more and more, when is that moment when it becomes a pile of sand? It's the same
Hmm.
feeling when you're putting stones and you're trying to kind of feel where is good enough. And so this is not good enough. This is not good enough. Maybe even this one's not good enough because your wall feels like how many stones is that? That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's more stones there 9, 10, 11. So it's a very big wall. Very. And that's why even this stone feels a little bit kind of unsatisfying. It feels like it could be more than that. And a good, if you don't know where it is, where's the perfect extension, a good rule of thumb to follow is just go all the way. When you have a wall this is so strong, you just say, oh, you know what, I'll just do this. You just make an extension and treat this extension, I mean, you make a corner approach and treat it as an extension.
Okay.
Because you just can't go any farther than that. This is just this is the limits of the board. But that looks fair. And if the game goes like this, and then you do something like this, or even this way, that looks okay. Looks like your wall is going to work. And if white now invades, well now, actually, what would you do? How would you use the wall?
Okay. I want to push him towards the wall.
Yes, yes.
So
Let's push him towards the wall. That's a perfect thought.
I'm not sure this does it, but if I went to, sorry, R9.
R9. Okay. Yes, R9 does it. Yes, this works pretty much. And if you do this, you're forcing white to go either this way, which is very dangerous because we can just cover and offer white to try to make two eyes inside there, and it's not going to be easy because white is completely enclosed and there are too many black stones around. Or white has to jump, and in this case, how would you continue? Trying to pressure him in the direction of the wall.
Well, now with those 3 and 5 stones, I'd
Yes.
consider doing O10.
And O10 would be a perfect move. I would also play O10. Yes. Because this is like, yeah, this is exactly the right time to play a knight's move, a Keima, because it's a very aggressive move, and right now you have nothing to be afraid of. Your shapes are strong, so you're pushing him. With this move, you're bending the shape and you're pushing him toward the wall. Like this is not powerful enough because you're leaving him a very easy way out. But when you do this one, Yeah, now it's you're almost making him go this way, or if he goes here, you can even keep pressing like this and drive him into that wall. Very, very hard situation for white. But another way is, so this is fine, yes, but an even more aggressive way is to kick with the same exact idea, just to block off the lower area and to never let him go down, but to force him to go up. He'll have to play here, and then you do exactly the same thing. You play the same Keima. You do this, and here's the same result. Very similar to what you came up with. So
Okay.
once you do this, very, very difficult for white. Maybe white can survive, but I don't know how. This looks like it's pretty much almost impossible. But okay, now, how about now? So white played this second line move, which is already, you're feeling that at the beginning of the game, white is making too many moves on the first lines. So this one, maybe not the right time, right? Maybe white should be playing this move, you know, or this move, or this move, the big ones. But white is
Yeah.
suddenly making this one, second line. So you block, white connects, question, should we respond?
No. The, I think my knee jerk is to respond, but no, this is a good time to do some big move somewhere else.
Yes, and yes, you're right. Of course, this is even if there is a cut at R15, it's okay to just leave it there. And but actually, with a wall like yours, with so much power, can white really cut at R15?
I don't think so, because if
Yeah,
he goes to, I mean, if I want to respond to that, I go to R14 and he's dead.
sure, but yeah, because you already have that stone, which makes sure that a white cannot cut anymore. So if white now, you ignore, white cuts this one, and immediately it's over. The adventure was very short. So there is no need to respond. And of course, you didn't have to, but you did. Knee jerk, but no.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
white does something completely crazy, just goes all in inside your territory. So you push, okay, push, okay. What now? What next? Because if you push this way, it's a little bit like remember that squeezing the fish when you're always
Yeah.
trying to attack, but you're attacking by being too close.
What I was, okay, what I was thinking as this was happening,
Right.
he's extending on the second line,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm building a wall on the third line that's facing to the left.
Yeah, this might be a little bit. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, actually, and it might be a little bit too advanced for this lesson because I'm treating this as yes, this is exactly what you're doing, but and this would be perfectly fine if all of these stones didn't exist, right? In this case, you pushing forever here and like getting this kind of position, amazing. But the problem is that those stones are already there, and this is already tremendous strength. So right now, if you keep pushing and you do this kind of stuff, this is just duplicating that strength. You have
I
now,
didn't, okay, what I didn't know as I was doing this, and you can educate me here, is I was thinking if I got a wall on the top
mhm.
and I get a wall that's at 90 degrees to it on the right, have I reinforced that area of the board? Or do I even need to?
I mean, yes, you have reinforced, and it's like I said, it's a pretty good thinking that you doing that, just allowing him to crawl in the second line and getting a wall above him, is not a bad plan. I'm just saying that sometimes your opponent will be doing something completely unreasonable, and then you can even go a little bit like one step beyond a simple like rational move. Of course, you can just get a good result, but sometimes their invasions are so crazy that you could just look at it and say, wait, how is this going to work? It's not going to work. It's just insane. Because look at this. You have so much power, like so many stones. And even though you have all of that, like all reason should be telling white to stay away from that, to stay away from this power. And white is going like, right into the heart of that darkness. White is going like right inside, which is a really, really crazy move. So my first instinct is that, well, this stone just, it can't escape. How is this stone going to escape out of there? So when you do this and that, for example, here, right now I'm thinking, well, I don't want to just, even letting him crawl in the second line and get out of here seems like too good of a result for that kind of a crazy invasion. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have a way to block his way out and make it a little bit more dark and a little more cloudy rather than being so sunny.
At this point.
You have multiple ways of doing that. Just not this move. This is the move I'm trying to teach you not to play. Because this move is doing only one thing. It's pushing him to the easy escape. It's just saying, okay, please go. And he goes. This is squeezing the fish right there.
Well, and again, I was pushing on the third line.
Yes, but your shape is already beautiful. Like this shape with that Keima is already amazing. So you don't really need to connect the Keima like this. It's already good. It's good enough. And besides, you have all of that other strength right behind your back. So if anything, those stones are going to be there to help. So the question is, if we just look at this geometrically, just like as a line, okay, so we're leading this line. So how can we prevent white from easily going and connecting to that corner?
Yes. How about S9?
Yeah, so something like S9, maybe I would even, yeah, S9 is definitely a possibility, yeah. So we do S9, and I don't really see how white is going to escape, right? How? This move, block. That's it. So anything white does, this move, block. This one, cut, extend. Nothing. So there is no way for white to save those stones out of there once you do this. And there's probably multiple ways of doing this. You could maybe block it this way, like not squeezing, but like staying away. And now it's more difficult for him to go. If he pushes out, you can jump. And now really, really difficult for him. Maybe he can crawl out again, but block, difficult. Or for example, this way. Also, not crawling and squeezing him tightly, but staying away and preparing the net, like trying to catch the fish from a distance with a big net. And whichever move you choose, or maybe even this one, whichever move you choose, white finds it very, very hard to escape with those three stones because there's no clear escape route. So that's
I think his plan here is to get enough in a row that he can make two eyes.
Yeah, but of course, once you do any one of these moves, like for example, I don't know, even as loose as this one, which is maybe the most loose of all the moves we looked at. And how is white going to make enough room for two eyes? Like white can do this one, we're going to block, and then okay, white can push here, white can push here. This one, okay, white built this area, but is it alive? Is this space big enough for two eyes?
Close. I mean, you go at this point T10.
T10, yeah, probably T10. So white plays here.
And now T11.
T11, yeah, probably. White tries this one.
And S14.
S14, white connects.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it's not good. T15.
T15, but now white can play here. And this is, now you have to play T12. And what's the result?
Yeah, that's Seki.
That's Seki, yeah. But the easier way is not playing inside. You only play inside when you really have to. It's a little life and death question here. So this one is like you have to play this move, because if you don't play it, then if you play from anything from the outside, white's gonna make this move and white's alive. So you make this, but now you reduce, you squeeze from the outside. You always go outside first. Inside only when you have to. So you reduce his space from the outside first. You do this move. And you're forcing him to, if he now blocks, now this move clearly kills. And if he plays here,
okay.
you push again, and he's dead. So if you go from the outside, then easy to kill.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do some of this. I'll show you a couple more of these. I'll send you, after this lesson, I'll send you a couple life and death situations with similar ideas.
Okay.
And ask you how to kill. But anyway, a few more questions about where to respond and what not to. So white invades again. So greedy, so incredibly greedy. He's barely lived with 4 stones on the right, and now he's invading again. He's trying not to give you anything at all. Okay, so you block, and now this very important separation. And yeah, so now white basically created 2 groups, A and B, and they're both under attack. Difficult for white. So nice. This block is very, very nice, and now white is dead inside, it seems. Those stones, all of them, these stones are dead. Oop. And now you could also probably, like this move, for example, right? Yes, it eliminates the cutting point, but maybe let's find something more efficient than that. Like, for example, how about protecting the cutting point and at the same time preventing those stones from escaping?
Yeah, okay. S7.
Yeah, something like that. You play S7, this fixes the cutting point, and the stones are now trapped. Or even this move, actually. It also kind of protects the cutting point, because now there is no cut. It just gets captured so easily. So any move, but S7 works as well, of course. So that could have been more interesting. Now this, okay. And now another life and death question. White just played here, how to kill?
From the outside. Well, all right, so T14.
Okay, and white plays T13?
Then T11.
Yes, and this would have killed, yes. So you do this one and no way to live. But this is the one move that you really don't want to make, because this move doesn't really do anything to white. It doesn't limit his space, it doesn't reduce anything. It's not protecting you, so this is a knee-jerk reaction. White just played here, and you're responding here in the same area. But this move doesn't really accomplish anything. It doesn't put any pressure on white, doesn't strengthen you, 0 points. So yeah, one of those moves. If you want to be doing something here, this move kills. But if you don't want to kill, yeah, you could just say, you know what, let's go back to playing the big opening moves. We seem to have gotten off track a little bit. So white lives. And now more questions coming. So you're alive at the bottom. Okay. So this is fine. Here, here. Okay, you're alive. Now, in situations like these, like your opponent is making a lot of weird things. Like, what is this move? Like, what is this weird move? Um, like, do you have to respond to this move? Like, you just captured the two stones. Even this move was strange. This is not really threatening anything. And
Yeah,
technically, you don't have to capture the stones right now. He's not. None of your stones are in Atari. So right now, you don't need to respond, right? Your stones are
right.
not in danger. So why not just ignore and go ahead and play something, I don't know, some big move on the left side. And if he tries to play this Atari, well, now you take. It's just that this feeling that, oh, it's a very treacherous, difficult situation. It's dangerous. It seems very dangerous. And he's playing some stones around. And so you feel threatened. But in fact, there is no threat. And your opponent is just making silly things.
Yeah.
So this is it's not a threat. And when he plays a move inside, it's not a threat. And then he plays this move. What to do?
Well, I've already, yeah, there's no need to do anything. I already have two eyes.
Yeah, you have clearly two. Like, this is the clearest possible situation, and this is the moment I was kind of leading up to. This whole opening, I was leading up to this moment where this is the clearest pass you could ever have. You have two eyes. White plays unimaginable move inside your two-eye group, and yeah, you really don't. This is the epitome, the perfect example of a situation where you don't need to respond. It
And I
doesn't
probably
matter that
did.
your opponent plays this move or I play this move or the world champion plays this move. You know it's two eyes. This is the theory of the game. So it seems like he's playing this move, so there's got to be a reason, but no, there is no reason. He's just a weak player, so ignore. And it adds up, like we find one of these things and it looks okay, but he already made a lot of these small, slow looking moves. He already played maybe 10 of them already in his game, and had you ignored all 10, right now the game would be already over, because you would have gained 10 moves elsewhere and you'll be winning by 60 points. And it's only because you responded to most of them. It's that's why the game is still even continuing. It's very much in your favor, but it's still continuing. So here's what I'm saying. Try to notice these, because you know that your 20Q opponents will be doing these. They'll be making these mistakes, and you should be like anticipating them. Like, okay, I know he's going to be making some slow moves, and here's one of them. So let me think about it, and then play something else. And yeah, speaking of that mistake that you made, this is the final thing that we talk about, is here. So you have this shape, and right now you're thinking, well, you're completely surrounded, so you're thinking, how do you add a move inside to make sure that everything's okay? So where do you think is the key, vital, central point of that shape to make sure that you definitely, absolutely, positively have two eyes inside? Notice that white has a threat. White has some Atari, right, inside. So you need to kind of protect against that.
Okay, well, right now I kind of like H5.
H5. H5. Okay, H5. Actually, I mean, this is one of those situations where a lot of things would work, and H5 is one of those moves. I think H5. What was the move that you played in the game? Oh, so you pushed here for. Oh, you played this one. Okay, so this is one move, and now let's look at the other alternatives. So why is this move not so good? Why is this not the best move? Let's find the reason first. What can white do after this inside your group?
H4.
H4, yes, but white even has a better way. White has this move,
Yeah.
this Atari, and if you connect, white can play here, and suddenly your big eye space is reduced to one eye, which
Yeah.
is super unpleasant. If it comes down to this, and your opponent notices this, then, well, if you can't escape out of this, then the black group just dies. So we need to protect against this Atari and prevent it. And your connection doesn't really do that. That's the
No.
problem. So we need to make a move that protects against this or this.
Or both.
Or both, yeah. So your move actually,
H4.
your move does that. Your move does that. You're making one eye here at A, and we can kind of treat this whole B space as the second eye. But in the future, when white takes these liberties, you're going to have to add another move. Do you see it? Do you see why?
Yeah.
Because
Because now he could go to J4.
oh yeah, he could do any cut, and you won't be able to connect. Yeah, he could do this
Right.
one, the double Atari, or this one. Yeah, and there's no connection. So once this happens, you need to at some point you need to protect, and you would need to wait. You would need to add another move. Now two eyes for sure. So okay, this one works. But like you said, H4 also works. And my first instinct is actually this one. That's my first like knee-jerk reaction. When I see this shape, I'm thinking, well, this one. Because it gives you a clear one eye as well, but it also fixes there is no cut anymore. There's no Atari inside. White can't Atari either from H5 or from J4. No Atari at all. But in the future, when white fills those liberties, you're still going to have to connect. Still double Atari. And actually, I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking maybe even this one is an even better move. It doesn't. It's not my knee-jerk reaction. This is I would have to really think about this. But now I'm seeing this as like, okay, but actually, with this move, even when white fills the liberties, white doesn't seem to have a move that kill, right? No threat. White cuts here, we do this, nothing. White cuts here, connect, nothing. White goes here, we take. So it seems that this move, with one move, fixes the problem right away, whereas the other moves require another one. But anyway, either move, whichever move you make, you need to be aware of that, that there is this Atari from both sides. This is what you should see, and you should take this into consideration when defending. And this was that caused the demise in the game. You did this, and you left the H5 unprotected. And then the game would continue until the very end, and of course your opponent didn't see this, and then finally he noticed. And then when you really lost the liberties, at some point you didn't have any liberties, and suddenly it worked.
Except, and the one I completely missed, like right now at this point, is M2.
Oh, I wasn't. What? Oh my goodness! Right. So it's been standing there like the whole time. You're right, of course. So here, this is already a fatal mistake. Well, that's like I said, this is the kind of opponent you're playing with. So you have to be expecting like things like these to happen. Normally, when I play against people, I don't expect this, but at your level, you should be expecting this. And so now that I'm telling you this, you can have this like higher expectation of such weird things happening in the game. So yeah, you're right. I totally missed this because I also wasn't expecting it. When I was quickly reviewing the game, I didn't see this. Right.
Well, I feel a little better because in medicine, in radiology, and I'm not a radiologist, but they train you to look at an X-ray in a systematic way. And, you know, you do it left to right or top to bottom, you look at different things. And I'm looking at this group that we've just been discussing.
Right.
And trying to figure out where the eyes are and all that. And what happens in radiology, you find something and you miss the next finding. It's very common to you find the big thing and you miss the second finding.
I see what you mean. Yeah, because your brain is already like, it's reassured.
Yeah.
That, okay, we
So
found the problem.
I was looking so hard at these stones in that group that I just never saw M2.
It's an interesting observation. Yeah, maybe, yeah, that's true, yes. It's a little tricky, yeah.
Which would have saved the group, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I also missed it because, like I said, it's the thing that never happens. If I play against someone, I could never in my wildest dreams expect this to happen, because who would play this move? And so when it does happen, it's like some of those professional games on YouTube, when two professionals are playing a game and one of them plays a self-Atari with a completely serious face, because they're both tired and they've been just playing a very serious game, and like now they're filling some final liberties, and obviously they just played like 260 moves of a very, very hard game, and then one guy just loses concentration for a second and plays self-Atari, and the other one's like, huh, and then captures, and like, oh. So
well, that's what he did. And what's funny is neither one of us saw it.
Yeah.
Because he could have connected, right?
Yes, and so and at any point, that's the funny thing, is that this could have saved you even from that final conundrum. Like when he plays here, even now, you have how funny would it be if now he's so confidently playing this move, and you're like,
yes,
that would be really funny. Yeah, but it didn't happen. But yeah, so it's a good game. It's just that you need to be more consistently ignoring your opponents. That's what I think is you need. And also, of course, this kind of stuff with life and death and the eye and where's the vital point to fix it, it's something that comes with there's no way around it. It just comes with experience. And after you've seen a lot of different shapes and a lot of different life and death scenarios hundreds of times, then it really starts to feel like magic in your hands. That's what it feels like to me. I know the physical idea behind it. I know that it's all experience, but it doesn't feel like experience. It just feels like some magical intuition. You just look at the position and your brain just whispers to you, says, "I think it's going to be this move." Without any checking, without any analysis, it just tells you, "I think it's this one." And you just play it, and then you check, analyze, and it turns out you were right. Funny.
Well, I was feeling pretty good right up until that end, and I think I was ahead up until then.
Yeah, you were ahead. Yes. So I wouldn't be too upset about a game like this when the whole game is in your favor, and then you miss something, just miss an Atari or something. That's not really. It's more important than. I mean, it's less important than a loss conceptually, when you just didn't understand direction of play and the whole game just went downhill. from the beginning. All right, let's try to find a game.